Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day, and good night to you all. This is not the page I wanted to be on. Doof. There we go. Morning, afternoon, evening, good day, and good night. Hope you all had a lovely day, no matter what it is that you have been doing with said day. My day has not been necessarily productive, as it rarely is, but that's just normal. And of course, I'd like to welcome my co-host, my fan. Uh, Even though it's only like 18 degrees outside at the moment, it is probably like 27 in here, which is absurd. There is no breeze, and it is just. It is hot in here. I do not like it. So, I have a fan. And it is my biggest fan. I also have another fan somewhere, but I don't actually know where I put it. Is my fan gone? There it is. Another fan. I have two fans. I have this fan and I have this fan. It's a fan club all around. Because it's hot in here. It is wham. I don't like it. Even though it only got to like 28 today, it's still warm in here because I have good insulation. And that is supposed to be a good thing. And of course my aircon broke, so I can't turn on my aircon. So, only fans. Which is fun. Hopefully no one else is dealing with such troubles of like not having heating or cooling, because ew. They're gross. I don't like when that happens. Yeah, listen. Alright? Don't worry about it. Anyway, the plan for today's stream is to actually do some world building for the first time in like ages, because I keep doing art streams instead, and I was like, well, my wrist hurts, I won't want to do that, and also I want to do some actual world building, and then when was the 17th? Wednesday? Yeah, sure. They put out a flash challenge to write about the death of a language, and I was like, oh, this is entirely my shit. Booyah, we're in. So, that is the plan. The plan is to work on an entry to the flash challenge. Entry. It was this world-building thing you never do, right? I've never heard of it. What is world building? But so the plan is to write about a language, and now unfortunately I think I'd already written about a language that might have counted for this, but luckily I had a second one. And so that is what we're going to be writing about. Now I did start this article on whichever day this was released. I've already forgotten how time works again. I'm pretty sure I said it was Wednesday. Like, I started the article for it on Wednesday, which is why it has a name, a quote, and an introductory passage saying what it is. To sum it up very briefly, Tingirhu, or more colloquially known as Skarhan, is a group of languages in part of my setting of Tiwamara, which haven't been spoken in 700 years because of imperialism, basically. Just a whole bunch of shenanigans occurred. And the reason it's titled as Tingirhu and not Skarhan is that if I title another article Skarhan, I will lose my mind. Because there's like 3 of them currently, I think. There's at least 2. There's already 2 articles which the first word is Skarhan, and I'm just like, I can't have 3 of them. I can't have 3, because it'll just make my life a nightmare if I ever need to, like, tag in any of those 3 articles. I don't like having to pause. I want to go dunk, dunk, dunk. And so I gave it a different name. But it's still called Skarhan. So, it has its proper name, but who gives a shit? Drinking Wednesday. I've been downloading games of Steam since Wednesday, and there's still games getting downloaded. Gotta love Aussie interwebs. God, it do be like that, doesn't it? Oh, good morning, Dappy Cappy. Good morning. Woo! Yeah, it doesn't like to be fast. And of course, now that I've mentioned internet, things will go poorly. So, it happens, you know? As long as we accept the inevitable, it will occur. It will be fine. So, now I do have notes that I've made, except for 2 notes very vaguely, because I do already kind of know the gist, and I probably should have opened the other article which actually mentions it, which is, I believe, this one. I believe it's the Prelt article, which mentions the language, because it shows up here. Hell yeah. The TLDR is Prelt is a extinct volcano which had a bunch of, like, artifacts on it, and it's like, oh shit, we have it, the script, and then they can't read it. Which has been most of the last day, has been me researching about, like, writing systems to try and extra justify why they'd have no clue what this shit says. Like, they just don't know. They're just like, we think this says the word Prelt, but we don't know how any of the symbols here mean that. We don't know how they correlate, which is fun. And I have a sheet just, there's a sheet full of, like, scribbles and shit, because I was trying to make it, like, logographic, and that's just a nightmare. I don't recommend it. But there are notes, like, I was trying to figure out sort of some things that the language had. So I basically, starting from the point of knowing what the language actually was, and then you sort of work forward into how it's remembered and how people think it might have been, based on stuff that I've already said. Because I have mentioned this article, this language, really vaguely in the past, because they haven't had a language for ages, and it sucks. I wonder if we'll ever said a language is technically still alive, which has morphed into a completely different language. What would you mean by that? Because a language is basically defined as being alive if it is used in conversation. Like, if I can walk up to you on the street, just any person in a given area, and start chatting in a language, and they understand what I mean, that's basically what an alive language is. And then a dead language is, like, one which isn't used in that way. Well, like, I'm being very oversimplistic, because there are, like, caveats, and it can go the other way, but, like, if I can't talk to a stranger in that language, it's probably not doing too hot. There is, like, the exception of, like Latin is a dead language, because you don't really converse in Latin, you recite it. People do converse in Latin, but they're weirdos. Like, it can be understood, but it's not really spoken, right? So if a language has morphed into something completely different and no one is using that original language as it originally was, then that form of the language is dead. Like, Middle English is dead. No one speaks Middle English anymore. We do still speak English, which has evolved from Middle English, but we do not speak Middle English. If that kind of makes sense. Not doing so well mentally, so Dad will get me writing Worldbuilding done this weekend. But he got a super cute game called Yonder yesterday, and been binging it off and on. Super relaxing and nice break from things. So I got this on to listen to while running around the wilderness. Yeah! I'm sorry you haven't been doing too great, but that sounds like a good time to just, like, play a nice chill game and just flow through it. I've been playing a shit ton of Hades, which is not a very relaxing game. So I'm just like, a little bit wild. Over time, travelers and merchants have migrated into the area, and their local worlds have been melded into the language. Right. Okay. I don't know if that would necessarily count. Day, you're not using the language properly. You're not doing it. Did you use a translator for that? If, like, I mean, there probably are examples of situations where, it was middle English translator, yes. I figured it might have been. Hold on, I'm researching something, because now I don't remember if they actually speak a language other than Jamaican patois. Is there like because it's a, I don't know. It's kind of complicated. If a language is just gaining some words, it doesn't really mean the language is dead anymore. Like, English takes words from other languages all the time. Like, what is it, karaoke? It's a Japanese word. You know? Like, we absorb words from other countries and other languages all the time, but English it's still English. Because usually when we talk about, like, a language changing, it's more in terms of, like, grammar changes, which I don't understand grammar at all, so I can't help with that. Like, I barely understand English grammar, and it's my native language. Or it's like the sounds are changing so that it doesn't sound the same anymore. But if you're just adding words from a different group and just saying, so here's our language plus some words from somewhere else, that's still the language, I guess. It depends on the volume, I guess. Because, like, I guess the closest comparison to, like, a situation where two languages met and the vocabulary just pummeled into it would be, like, English with French, where French just went woof and just threw a bunch of, like, words into English, like, en masse. And so but that also came with some grammar stuff, so I don't even know. Kind of complicated. I mean, at the end of the day, the main point of any of the challenges, Flash or otherwise, is to inspire your world building. And so if you wrote if you saw the prompt dead language or death of a language and got inspired to write about a language which sort of merged with another language, like a Creole or just like any of that kind of stuff, if it inspired you to write a language, then that is a success, you know? Because sometimes you have to be funny with the prompts. Like, I remember back in ye olden days of, like, 2018 summer camp, everyone was complaining that all the prompts were, like, the most, or the biggest, the best, like, you know, it was all superlative, and it was really frustrating for some people. Like, you just gotta make the prompt work for you, and if it inspires you, good, you know? Sorry, I got distracted thinking about language. Oh, Hades no, don't need that energy at the moment. Oh god, mood, right? Like, my wrist hurts, I can't play it every day, because it's just like, just spamming it. Ow. Oh no, day's still going. Oh god. Men come and see how shall little deadly? When thou comes bad, and bear nos have then the away fair, all is worms, that we for care, but that we do for God is love, we have nothing. I'm assuming it's pronounced the, but it could, like, it's like is like that, and then this, and then grave, because we didn't have a V at the time, technically. At the time, we wouldn't have had a U, actually. It would have been either U or V, I would assume. Because U and V are a fairly recent split, right? I don't even remember. And so they're trying to preserve text and they can't read them. Okay, yeah, so if it's changed that much that they can't read texts in the original language, then yeah, that would totally count. The original language is like, yeah, that language is dead because no one can speak it or necessarily understand it. Yeah, actual language of people who think there's a chance I'm right. Right. It was from the French into English thing. Yeah, over time, yeah. The prompt police are not going to come through the internet and reprimand you saying, you are doing this wrong. No. And yeah, the beef and cow thing. Because, like, even, like, with the French and English thing, the French influence came from the upper classes, because the Normans, the French, were the nobility. They weren't French peasants in England. I mean, there probably were. But by and large, it's English peasantry, French nobility, and so we get beef is the proper form of cow, because, you know, it's beef, boeuf, you know, beef. You know, and that's the fancied word of cow, which is just like cow. And so on and so forth. Yeah. Listen, I try my best. I almost know what it means. I'm saying, like, man comes and see how all dead lie or something. When they come bad and something, away we go. And the worms. There's a goddess, and there's John is here. And he's smithing his god, or his soul will go to heaven. I don't know. Weirdly enough, Scandinavian or something is close enough to be understood across a really long gap. Yes. It depends on where you're looking, because, like, the trio of Scandinavian languages, so, like, Swedish, Danish, and Norwegian, are fairly mutually intelligible despite, you know, having been distinct for a while. But that's because they interact really often. Like, really often. And for a lot of points during their history, they were literally run by the same people. Like, you know, you go back to the Kalmar Union and all that, where all three were under a single monarch. So they interact a lot, and that means that even though there is drift between each group, the interaction is common enough that it kind of, you know, melds back into itself, and they re-influence each other with their differences. Even then, Danish is still weird. You know? Danish is whack. But that's because they pronounce shit weird. Written Danish was probably easier to understand than spoken Danish, because Danish is weird. I'm given to understand. I know no Scandinavian, you know? You take it from the Wikipedia example text. Hell yeah. Interact. So that's what we call going to war over Norway. Yeah, exactly. Oh no, actual Scandinavian of some kind. Oh, I don't even know how to approach. Is it like Terma? Terma und Sumalista? Terma und Sumalista? Sumalista. I don't know what that means. And I don't think I'm pronouncing the A correctly. Or the O. Or any of those. Languages are weird, and I don't speak any except English. So I'm just like, I'm trying my best. Give non-redeemable voice if you actually know what language that is. Ooh, okay. It's not German. I can rule that out. It's not German. There's like 4 languages that I'm assuming it could be. It's either literally, it's either literally like Norwegian, Swedish, and Danish, or it's like Estonian or Finnish. And the issue is that I have no way of guessing, or like knowing for certain, because I don't speak any of those languages. So part of me wants to say it's Estonian, but I feel like Delian will tell me that that's wrong. If I say it's Estonian. But that's the language I've had the most contact with from that sort of sphere of the world. So I'm just gonna say Estonian. I don't know. I don't recognize languages super well. It's definitely Northern Europe, I assume. If it's not, then I don't know. If it's not Northern Europe, then it's like Africa. But I don't think that's African. I'm pretty sure that's Northern European. Pretty sure it's in like that area. Estonian will be my final answer, but it will be wrong. But I acknowledge that up front, so my final guess is it's Estonian. I don't know if I is a sound in Estonian, so I made a mistake. Oh no. Oh dear. This is why I don't language guess. That's not what I don't have that power. Damn it, it's Finnish. At least I remembered Finland existed partway through. Because I said 4 and then remembered that Finland exists and said 5. Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra. Timber his arms wide. I don't know what this means. I do not know what it means. I do not understand. Languages. Okay. So I do have notes about what Scar and... Well, I mean, I don't. Because I tried to figure out what it actually was, and then the whole idea is then you work forward and figure out what people think it is based on having not spoken it or understood it for 700 years. Because they can't read it. And the reason they can't read it is because the language is a logography, sort of like Chinese, and no other language, I think, on the entire human plane is a logography. Most of them are alphabets. Like, one of them is a syllabary. One of them is German, so it's an alphabet. You know, like, that's the kind of shit we're working with. So they're just like, what does this even mean? We can't read this anymore. We've been using an alphabet for years. For centuries. We don't know what a logography is. It'd be like, I don't speak Chinese. It'd be like just handing me a bunch of Chinese text and going, can you read it? And I'm like, no, I can't. Hell, do it with Japanese, and I'll be like, I can maybe understand like 6 of these symbols. But I couldn't tell you what they mean. I can just say what they sound like. You know? I had to make sure I had it correct. I got my brother-in-law and translated it. It just says, this is Finnish. No! Oh, right, because it's Suomi, isn't it? Piss. Oh, of course. Oh, Somalaista is Finnish language, and the Finnish is Suomi, or Finland is Suomi. Damn it. Ah. I'm devastated. I am a fool. Despite knowing this fact, I forgot, because the whew, languages, huh? Wild. I'm English. I can only do so much. Oh, I should have known. Suo. Damn it. No, it is Suomi. 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 And that is the name of Finland in Finnish, and which nobody uses except for maybe like the Scandinavians. No one calls it Suomi. Well, not in English. We don't do it. The French probably don't do it. The Germans probably don't do it. We're just like, nah. I believe your words just sound fake. Yeah, that's fair. Luckily, you'd only just gone to bed. Oh, thank God. He was happy to make sure your finish was correct. Excellent. We nailed it. I didn't. You nailed it. I didn't nail it. In hindsight, it's obvious. In foresight, I wasn't clever. In my defense, some of the people around Finland probably understood what it meant, so I'm just like, hey, it's mutually intelligible, it's fine. Maybe. I don't even know. Okay, so what is the actual history? The subject stuff is an episode where an alien race speak only in metaphor. Uh-huh. Okay. Gotcha. Tone but well remembered. Finnish was technically a dead language a little while ago, but there's some attempts to reintroduce it. Oh. I didn't actually know that. I thought Finnish had been somewhat consistently spoken the whole time. I just kind of assumed that was true. Because it's like, you know, people be speaking it, and a lot of people be speaking it. So I'm just like, huh? It died at some point? Wow. Because, like, nearly 6 million people speak it? God. I'm assuming this is when Russia was in town, right? You know? I'm just gonna assume it was when Russia was around. Did it die? Did it die? Some of it did. I know there are like languages in that area that have probably died, but I'm thinking the only languages that, like, the only language that I know that straight up died and then was brought back was Hebrew. Because it was only used in, like, priest shit, right? It was only used liturgically. So, like, it wasn't used conversationally. It was only used to, like, read the Torah and stuff. And then they brought it back as an actual spoken language. And that's, like, the only one that has been proper revived. The only closest example would be, like, some of the Celtic languages have been a little bit close to being super dead, but none of them proper died, as far as I'm aware. Like, I think Scottish Gaelic is the only one that was, like, real close to it. Because people do not speak Scottish Gaelic. There's a couple thousand. 100,000 maybe? Not many. It's like 1% of the people in Scotland can speak it, and they're all in the Highlands. Because of course they are. Around the time World War II, it was slowly dying off, and Tolkien got the whole idea of Elvish from Finnish. Yeah, because he was inspired by a lot of real-life languages, which is the cool shit. A linguist disguised as a fiction writer. A linguist disguised as an author. It's great. I love it. We love to say it. Okay, so the actual history of the language is spoken all in the West. Died around 700 years ago. When was that? Poorly disguised. I mean, yeah. But consider yourself in the time period of, you know, being, like, in what, 1950s Britain? You don't know Finnish. You have no idea. I don't have any idea. I wouldn't know it was Finnish unless you said so. Because otherwise I have so little exposure to Finnish as a language that it's just like, oh, okay. You know? If I don't see if I don't, like, actually, like, interact with the language, I'm not going to notice. And so to an extent, you can fully disguise as much as you want. It doesn't matter. I won't know it. It's great. Yeah, no, he was a linguist. It's great. I don't think it was technically called a linguist at the time. It had a different fancy name. He was a linguist. Okay, I'm looking at... Okay, hold on. I'm trying to do math about when this happened. So negative 275. So post this bitch. Alright. After War of Fosse's Succession. Blame Askilla. And then there's a middle point where sort of starts dying around when numbers. 600, so it's 425 plus it's about 1,000 years ago. And 1,000 years ago during the Fosti Conquest. Boston, prestige, language. And that be it. That's the and this is the history of Tingirhu. Spoken all over. So it's starting about 1,000 years ago, and then died about 700 years ago, because just like, that's it. It was obviously spoken for more than 300 years, but there's probably like a point beforehand where they actually started, where they wrote it down, but I don't remember if I've ever made a note about that. No, I know what? I didn't hit anything. I hit down. That does that? Oh, that's weird. Okay. Apparently interacting with that at all makes it go weep. 3000 was when the Vostan language was used, or a early version of it. 189.2 gigabytes left until the games I started on Wednesday will be fully downloaded. Holy shit. That is a lot of gigabytes. Like, I think I downloaded like 3 gigabytes in like 20 minutes. So I'm just like, well, that's a lot of gigabytes. That's a lot. Written down around like 2,000 years? I can spell. This is fine. Spelling is doable. Maybe. I'm gonna close that off. I didn't need that. Okay, this is the phonology of it, where it's mostly just me trying to figure out how people who do not have th and the, and then like p, and no, it's not p, it's like p, p. I can't distinguish, I can't pronounce the aspirated versus unaspirated because they're all the goddamn same. Because English doesn't have an aspiration contrast. Wild. So I can barely pronounce the distinction myself. And so the Vostan language does not have this distinction either. So there's like 3 different ways you could write these words, these sounds, if you're transcribing them. Which I think is just fun. He started with 50 games, ordered them from smallest to largest. Holy shit. That's big games. Them some big games at the tail end, huh? Wow. Okay, so that's the rundown. And then there's all this shit where I was thinking about what it was called, because I didn't want to call it Skarhan, because that would kill me. And then there was me thinking about the phonology a little bit, where there's thinking about aspiration happening all the time. And then there was actually thinking about what the word was, which I have the word now. Yay. Woo! Okay. Because there isn't that much that we want to, like, it's like, so why did the language disappear? What happened to its people? Where? Did it actually die out? Yeah, so was it culturally important? Well, it was a language, wasn't it? And was it used for magic, for science? Whoops. I'm pretty sure I have seen that video. I remember I've watched it, I'm pretty sure. So we're all good. Because it's like the 2 ways it dies is like you become bilingual and slowly stop using the first language, or you get murdered. And the answer is both. Just combine both. A slow decline and then a rapid end. Where you just start just getting rid of them. It happens. I presume. And so... Oh. Is he using the right color mode? I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, it's yellow. I originally had the ring light facing me, and then I realized it was giving me a headache. So now it faces the wall and gives me bounce lighting. I love when that works. Okay, so Tingyuku was commonly known as Rangisco wrote the Vosti Empire's conquest of the area, introduction of Vostan as a spoken language. Speak the Germans. The last 2 games of Middle-earth Shadow of War at 93.8. And then Grand Theft Auto 5 at 95.4. Ow. That's an ouch. Good lord. Like, that is just a lot. That's too many. That's too much. Like, I don't even think, like, I have like a videos folder on my computer full of, like, stream bits from when, like, the stream cuts out and I have to stitch it back together. I'm pretty sure that over the course of the, like, what, 9 months I've been doing this? 8, 7? I don't even have close to, like, 100, like, 50. There's, like, maybe, like, 30 gigs of shit in there. It is not, like, that is a big game. That's big. That's too big. That's too big. Hold on, I'm actually finding out how much... Oh, never mind, I have 140 gigs of stuff. Never mind. There's a lot of videos in there. But that's over, like, you know, 7 months of streams for, like, 2 hours each. So it's like, whew. And that's both the raw files and then the edited versions. So there's, like, double up on it. If you cut it in half, it's like 70. So it's like, ooh, dude, that's big. That's too much file for me. Too much for me. How do I describe the history of Singirhu in a way that's, like, fun? Great question. I don't know. Because we'll start with the history, and then there'll be a later section which is about describing the actual language, in which I talk about the fact that they can't read it, and they only vaguely know what it did. Because, like, the thing is, right, like, the idea in Tengyerhu is that it had, that its one defining feature that, like, made it stand out against pretty much any of the other languages in the setting is that it had aspiration contrast. English doesn't have this because, like, we don't distinguish it. But it's the difference between, like, the P in pin versus the P in spin. Because, like, the in pin, there's, like, a big puff of air when you do it. And then in spin, there's not. Because that's just how that works. In English is how we distinguish, like, that's just how we pronounce those sounds. And in Skarhan, you could have pin and pin, kinda, and they would mean different things, because one has the p and one of it has the p, kind of thing. Kind of. I'm not doing it super well because I don't distinguish those normally. And so it had that, and that was its defining feature, and it was such a defining feature that it was written down as having it. Like, people in the language that conquered it, in Vostan, wrote about this fact, and they were like, yeah, this Skarhan language has this weird thing where it has two P's and they mean different things. And one's, like, really forceful, and one is, like, really gentle. And that's the difference between, like, I probably p, and then p is very gentle or something. I don't know. That's how they distinguish it. They describe it. There's, like, a bunch of texts from hoity-toity assholes from, you know, the 3rd century BC in the setting, going, here's this thing that this language has. It's really weird. We don't understand what it means. We don't know. And we don't know what's going on in there. But then there's also the, right? Which is the sound from, like, is it this and that? No, this and thing. So thing is a voiceless, was interdental fricative? And then, you know, labiodental, well, no, dental fricative. And then, like, thing and this, those are two different the sounds. And basically, not a whole lot of languages have it anyway. But in this setting, not many of them do. And on this continent, there is no equivalent to the. So when Skarhan lost that sound, like when the Skarhan language died, that was it. There is no the on this continent anymore. They don't have it. It's just gone. As opposed to the sound, like the sound in, like, sing, the that they can understand because there's another language that does still have it. Those two. So, like, that's a language they understand, but that's a sound they understand. The is just lost. They don't know what the hell's going on with that. Like, they just don't know. Because it wasn't described, because it wasn't as important. It was described as, like, a forceful F, and they're like, what does that even mean? Like, what does it mean to be a forceful F? Huh? They have no idea, and that's what's fun. It's fun to me, as someone who has spent the last, like, 2 nights rambling about this to myself. I enjoy it. So, how do I describe this? So, in Western, because technically there was 3 languages, but one of them died real quick. On the continent, anyway. Your entire Steam folder takes up 1.67 terabytes. That is too many terabytes. My computer doesn't even have that much space, I'm pretty sure. Like, I have an external that's a terabyte, but yeesh. Oh wow, my OS is chock-up. Oops. Oops. What the hell is, what is filling up my OS? Oh, it's probably all the videos. I'm gonna have to clean those out. Because I only have, like, 500 gig on this computer. Because, I mean, it's a laptop. They never have storage. Never have storage on a laptop, yo. That's why you have externals. That's why I have 3 of them. One of them's broken. I have 2 of them. One of them's explicitly a backup drive for all my other computers. I have 1. I have 1 external that's a terabyte. And that has stuff on it. I probably should just wipe the videos file and just get rid of a bunch of those. And that would save up a lot of space if I just got rid of most of them. I'm got an external storage, which is 4 terabytes. Whoo! That's big. That's a lot of terabytes. Oof. I guess part of that is like I don't download big games because I do not have space. Like I just don't. So I just don't do it. So most of the space on my computer is taken up by videos. It's entirely from my videos file that it looks like it's chock up. Because if I go to the videos full on, because it was 140 streamed videos, it's 148 overall. Really? So it's just like, you remove those stream videos, that's 140 gigs cleared up. That's more than like a quarter of total space on this computer taken up by videos of me streaming. I was like, holy shit. That's a lot, though. That's a lot of storage. Okay, so... evidence of Proto-Tenierhu in Western Abravost. Your PC like 5 minutes time to your actual Steam library takes up. Oh my god. Most of that. Steam as a platform is not particularly bulky. It's mostly the video, so it's mostly the files. Ooh. Ooh. Being spoken in. Being used in Western Abravost. Date back many thousands of years. With the earliest sources being found in ruins in the northwest. The earliest written forms, yeah, 1.47 terabytes from your aforementioned. Oh my god, that's too much storage. That's too big. Like, I'd probably, I don't think I'd even be pushing it if I downloaded all of the games that I own. Like, if I downloaded all the games that I own on Steam, I don't think I'd even get close. I might get a couple hundred. That said, there are a couple of, like, MMOs in here, so... who knows, right? Ooh. There's also a lot of indie games. So I might be able to skate by in a couple hundred. I wouldn't get a terabyte, though. How do I... is there a way to actually find out, like, how big this shit is? I don't even know. Skyrim's here. There's a lot of video. I have a lot of games, and I haven't played most of these. And I own like 5 Lego games, and I don't even play them, but I have them anyway because my sister wanted to play them, and so I'm stuck with them. Pro tip, people: do not share a Steam account. It's not worth it. It isn't worth it. Just don't do it. Because then you get stuck with games that you will literally never play. You as an individual, you just won't play it. So I'm just stuck with those now. And I was like, cool. Bowling. And those are the only, like, egregious examples, though. It's just those 5 that I'm like, I will never, ever play these. And others, I'm like, yeah, I've played them once or twice, and they were good when I played them. So, And then there's some I haven't played, because I can't be bothered. I have the Bureau XCOM Declassified. I'm never gonna play it, but I got it as part of a bundle, so I'm just like, why not? Why not at that point? Just, you know, do it anyway. What's the point? Oh god. Writing about language is hard. I have all these ideas and I don't know how to say them. Being found in ruins in the northwest. Their last existing how do you get from its earliest bit to its thing? You've only downloaded probably 25% of everything you have access to on Steam. Oh my god. It's too much stuff. Too many. Hot dang. Yeah, exactly. Hot dang. Ooh. This language soon spread from the northwest to be spoken throughout the region. Following the foothills of the... I've written this down. What's it called? Isali Mountains, and the doing of the... Ooh, it's called a ladder, isn't it? Which it sounds like ladder, like a food ladder, but it's lahta. Lahta. I can't pronounce R's, so I'm just like, larder? How do you distinguish between Lada and larder? Don't know. 106 of those are programs. Yeah. Right, that makes sense. It sounds really good for your Sky Island world if you had time and energy to do it. I like the idea. Imagine at least a handful of cultures be lost in an event that affected the lands from the planet into the sky. I mean, that is true. If it's gonna just, you know, mass casualty event, like, yeah, that's probably gonna kill out a language or two. Just a couple. Just a few of them. Like, because I've, like, been a bit burnt out as well, because just, like, oh, Jesus. The 1-2 punch of Nano and, World Ember did a number on me, but I'm just a huge nerd for language. So I'm just like, all right, I can muster energy for language anytime, given a reason. And this might give me a reason to do more language stuff, because I have a bunch of language stuff I still need to do. Because, like, if you come with me to the language compendium, right? This is a really bad Google spreadsheets that notes, at the very least, the phonology, so the sounds of all of the languages in my setting. And so there's Vostan, which is the least developed, because it's just a bunch of sounds thrown together. And that's basically just German, but like chill German. Then there's Skarhentengirhu. Then there's Weizerischal. There's Garanya, which has 2 variants. There's Nikishong. There's Zwikalu. And those are just the human languages. Then there's Zangsoyoi/Pumpamyoi, which is an elven language with 2 variants. Then there's Suent. And then there's Shuzanak, or Shuzanak. I don't know how to pronounce that word at all, which is not helpful. I think it's Shu. I think Shuzanak. There are a lot. And that's missing one. Because I haven't done the mermaid languages. Because I don't want to. Because, But one thing I did want to do at some point was give them scripts. So, like, writing systems. And because most of them are alphabets, hey, you know, that's like a doable thing, right? Because, like, the only one that isn't an alphabet is, I think, Garanya. I think Garanya is a syllabary. Like Japanese, like katakana and hiragana. It's a syllabary. And some of them might be, like, funky, but I don't know. Because, like, some of them cannot be written in any other way except for if you're going, like, full shenanigan and you are writing it as an alphabet. Zwikalu might not be an alphabet or a syllabary, but I don't know. Because it's supposed to be like Arabic, but it's really shit Arabic. There's a lot of shit going on in there, dude. I think Suent has the ability to be pronounced as written as a syllabary, because it's fairly limited, but I don't remember. Because I'd have to open the other page. And then this, I don't even know what the hell is going on in here, dude. Oh my god. There's so many of them. But I'd like to give some of them, like, scripts. Like, writing systems, because they're cool. I could get a bit creative and talk about, say, the death of a tech language. Ooh! As I have ideas for certain technology to have been lost in those events. That sounds actually really cool and very creative. Because most of us would be going for, actual, like, spoken language. But you don't speak JavaScript. You use it. And I find that, like, a really interesting angle on that. Like, that's just cool. This reminds you of the secret language you and your foster sibling, whose birthday is a day before mine, created. Nice! Secret languages are cool. I never had one of those. Because I'm a nerd, but I wasn't that kind of nerd. Somehow. I was an academic nerd. For a while. I'm here now. But once upon a time I had good grades and I was not creative. What a time. What a time. Remember when I was good at math? I don't remember when I was good at math. You can just swap letters around. Oh, hell yeah. Oh, I love when that happens. Gonna start speaking in Ik Pay Attenley. Maybe Ekingsay? Wait, Pekingsay or Ekingspay? Ekingspay, Igpay, Attenley, Odete. Mie? How do you do I'm as a Pig Latin? Is it like my? Mie? I don't even know. Hey, Coffee Quills! Good evening! We've had a lovely day. I'm attempting to language, and language is hard. English is hard enough, but then I have to use English to talk about another language. Ugh. Kills me. And then we got the region, following the foothills of the Asali Mountains, and the flowing of the River Lata. Eh. Lada. It is believed wee, yay, to have split into at least 3 variants. With oh, I didn't actually notice Cresselia had come in because both of you showed up as purple. I space. Hi, Cresselia. I can't read, apparently. Oh no. I was like, purple. See purple, see purple. Reading's hard, and it's all the way over there. Yeah, I can barely read real life languages, let alone come up my own fancy settings. Yeah, whoo. Like, I learned French in primary school, I learned Japanese in high school, and I'm ostensibly still learning Scottish Gaelic on Duolingo, but I've gotten very bored, so that's not going super well. So, like, I am aware of language, but I basically only know English still. Like, I can't speak French to save my life. Can't speak it. Can barely read it. And I can read mostly only hiragana in Japanese. I don't know what it means, but I can read it. And I can sound it out. And then there's like 10 katakana that I can read. And then like 2 kanji depending on context. And I'm just like, oh, okay. I can read numbers. I know what the numbers sound like. That's it. I know numbers in languages, that's it. That's all I got. He's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10. And 1, 2, 3. How the hell is that 4th one pronounced? 1, 2, 3. Serre? 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 Saint. Nah. I don't remember Scottish numbers, and I learned them like 2 months ago. I can't read. I can't pronounce nothing for nothing. Language is hard. Pick up random vocab and phrases, and then you just should learn stuff natural. That's about it. Yeah, exactly. Like you just pick up random bits. I love King Penguin. Hell yeah. E3 variants. Variants? Variants. Based on geographic boundaries. These being the northern dialect, western, eastern dialect, and Southern dialect. This is one of those things where I'd want to have a map. And I do actually have a map of Aberfoss that I could finagle this into. Where is the map? Oh, wait, where is the map? Where is the map? Map is here. Here it is. Here is map. Here is map. Is it open? Where is... here's map. It's not gonna let me bring it into map. Hold on. Ah! Gotta do this the funky way. It's gonna be really mean about it. Here it is. There we go. Here is map. This is the old map. So basically what I'm thinking... is that it's basically spoken in this area here. Maybe a little bit up into here, but mostly here. It basically stops at the river, and then there's like a split based on being north, or if you're like way over here. It's kind of funky. There's like a chunk up here, big chunk down here, and then like this area here. So northwest south, actually. So northwest south. Northern, northern, southern, and western dialects. These were largely mutually intelligible, but had differences in vocabulary and some pronunciation, which will be discussed further along. These Tingirhu languages were assumed, actually no, when the Vosti Empire came into the area around, around when? Oop, that's the wrong button. Here it is, here's the button. So it started in 598, but they didn't get, ooh, hold on. Wait, I hit that timeline, didn't I? Oh, no. That's not what I want. Rulers. Can I find a timeline from here? Hold on. We're gonna try and make this work. Oh, where is it? Emperor. Come on. You can do it. Oh, ooh, there we go. Rulers of the Vosti. Here we go. Good morning, Officer Dinosaur Bob. How are you? Hopefully things are well. I'm rereading my own timelines to figure out what I was doing. Okay, so it's around, like, 550, basically. 550-ish is when shenanigan began. Maybe, like, 570. Anywhere from, like, I'll say around 570, and then tooltip. Before collision. Yay, you found the cipher for the secret language. Nice. Hell yeah. They came into area around 500 BC. They made contact. They initially made contact with speakers of the southern dialect. And they, throughout their gradual expansion and conquest further north and west, they interpreted all Tingirhu speakers as having the same gibberish tongue, and rarely put in, and the emperors rarely put any effort into learning the language so as to communicate with their new vassals. Confused, instead of white flakes filling the air today, the sky has turned this strange blue color. And there's a big, bright yellow ball where the clouds should be. So it's a rare sunny day in the middle of winter. It sounds delightful. Warmth is good. Cold is also good. I have missed cold dearly. Which is why, as I showed off earlier, I have a fan. And I have two fans. in case I get, like, warm. Because it's been warm for the last, like, 4 days. So, it has been hot. I haven't gone for a long walk since Tuesday. I am desperate at this point. Which is why tomorrow I get to go for, like, an hour-long walk at lunchtime, and I'm like, yes! Because it's been, like, 30 degrees, and that shit's too hot for me. I was like, ew, ew, ew. Too warm, too warm. No thanks. I've been stuck to my chair, because my chair is leather, right? I'm just, like, stuck to it. Is what's been happening for, like, a week. Still stowing here in New York, but I heard we're going back to the 40s sometime next week. Nice! That's like, what? 5 degrees? 5 degrees Celsius? Sounds delightful. I'm probably not far off, actually. Like 5-ish. 5-ish. Anywhere from 1 to 10. That's what 40 is. 5-ish. I'm not far off. I'm fairly close. Getting 40 in New Jersey today. Dang. That sounds not too bad, actually. That said, I do not have the clothing to survive, like, below 10. Because that's not what Australians are built for. We are not built for that. We are built for, like, 10 to 25. I'm good up until about 30 degrees, and that's when it goes swiftly downhill from 30. Which is, you know, what? 60, 70? 70 Fahrenheit. Yeah, 5 to 10. Okay, good. I got it. I figured we were in that ballpark. If it was 40 degrees Celsius, I'd be confused and concerned for you all. Because if there was a snap from snowing to 40 degrees Celsius, I think that would be like a global emergency. that would be wild. Like, that would be some chaos shit. My god. Can you imagine? I don't want to. It's ignorance of... Yeah, 30C is high 80s. Okay, I wasn't sure. I'm not good at doing the conversion, because it's like 30 plus something, and I'm like, ugh. Or minus, rather. And it, like, changes sometimes, I was like, ugh. Fractions. Ah! T language is mostly written. Aha! And it is just a straight up cipher. Where somehow you have no vowels. There's no vowels in there. I don't see a single vowel. 40C is way too hot. No. We're in the Southwest. Well, I mean, yeah, but in that sense, you know, Victoria is not dissimilar from California in that, yeah, sometimes it hits 40 degrees and no one enjoys it. Because when, you know, like, when Victoria and California hit 40 degrees Celsius, everything catches on fire. You know? 40 degrees is too high. Now you go to, like, Abu Dhabi or whatever, and that shit's like, that's normal. And then you go up to 50, and I'm like, that is nonsense. Can't do that. I think if you took me out in 50 degree weather, I would straight up, like, dry out like a sponge. 40 is already pushing it. And I've been outside in 40 before, and it was awful. Shout out to, like, what year was that? Ooh, what year was that? 08? 07? The Oz Open was on, and the power went out, and so we were stuck in, like, a 40-degree house. It was not good. That was a very bad time. Don't do it. Heat, bad. And, like, my aircon broke recently, so I've just been stuck in here, and it's been, like, 30 degrees inside for the last 2 days, because I can't turn the aircon on, so it's really hot. Because the heat gets in and then does not leave. Don't like it. And to stay out of the house, Mum is doing haircuts. Ah. Nah, I get you. Nice. I'm just glad sunset temperatures have missed you so far. I do feel bad for our southern states who are getting screwed over. Yeah. It's not great. Not so much in Cali, but Arizona, New Mexico, yeah, that is true. I didn't consider Texas as being southwest, but I guess, yeah, technically it kind of is. Yeah, I guess technically it is. Wow. I don't know where I keep thinking Texas is, but thinking of it as having a southwest is weird. It's like, yeah, I guess it does, doesn't it? Wild. Listen, if you told me to try and put, like, draw the borders of America, I would miss about 10 states. I couldn't tell you where Arizona is. I assume it's in the southwest, but that's about it now. It's like, okay, I know what California is. I know roughly where Texas is. I am loosely familiar with, like, New York. I know where Washington is. I know that Wyoming's up there. That is it. I don't know where anything is. I maybe know where Nevada and Ohio are. Maybe? Do I know where Ohio is? Ohio's north of Nevada, right? Oh, God. Oh, no. Oh, dear. Oh, you're built for voice, you're a Queenslander. Exactly, right? Like, the closer you get to the equator, the more you're built for it. But I am from, you know, Victoria. I'm from southern butt of Australia, except for Tasmania, obviously. I'm not built for anything over 30. I'm also not a beach person, so at least if I was beach person, I would get it, you know? But, like, I don't. So I don't. Oh, no, Ohio isn't north of Nevada. I'm thinking of something else, aren't I? What am I thinking of? Oh, no, I've been confused about what was happening in that DLC, aren't I? Listen, I've only played, like, New Vegas. I don't know where anything is. I know that Nevada is next to California, and that is as far as it goes. Ohio is up the what? Oh, I'm thinking of Iowa then, I think. Am I thinking of Iowa? Oh, dear. Am I thinking of Iowa? Am I thinking of Iowa? Hold on. Nope, I have to look. Is it I have to be thinking of something, right? Is it... No, I'm not thinking of Iowa. Oh, no. What am I thinking of? What state am I thinking of? This state... What state do I think is near Nevada? Oh, dear. What is it? Which one is it? Open. Open. No, I'm not buying anything. Open. Here we go. Utah! I was thinking of Utah. I was thinking of Utah, which isn't even north. I was thinking of Utah. Piss. Oh, no. Oh, no. And I would have gotten Wyoming wrong, too, because I thought it was next to Washington. And I would have put North and South Dakota way over. I would have forgotten Montana. And I shouldn't forget Montana, because I've read a book about Montana. And then I would have remembered Oklahoma looks like that. That's about it, though. And then I remember West Virginia. That's it, though. Like, I'm just like, what? None of this means anything. Yeah, if I go to the beach, Tasmania, I'm thinking it's a colder 8. I mean, yeah, I'd probably do decent in, you know, I'd do decent in Tasmania. It's a bit cold, but, like, I can deal with cold. It's just that there's no public transport because it's Tasmania. So, well, there is, but it's, like, 2 hours. I'm like, ew. Gross. I want to visit Tasmania so bad. Utah is right a great country. Right! Yeah, oh right, it's mountain time, which I keep thinking is the other mountains. It's a pale joke. Yeah, no, true. Yeah. A lot of Australians, but I don't know about that. You'd want to hope most Americans could place at least all their neighbors. And depending on where you are, that's a lot of states. Like, if you're from up in, you know, or the eastern seaboard, up in, like, Pennsylvania or something, you could probably place, like, 10 states. Because you've probably been to Maine for a weekend. You know? Would you... I don't know if you would go to Maine, but you know what I mean, right? Like, if you asked me where, like, Vermont was, I couldn't tell you. Like, I'm just like, I don't know where they go. Like, I wouldn't even be able to tell you which island is Rhode Island. And it's like, it's called Rhode Island. I should know this, right? Meanwhile, I know where Puerto Rico is. This I know. So I'm just like, okay. I've got something. And then I vaguely knew where Louisiana was. And then I thought Arkansas and Kansas bordered each other. Oh no. Why would you do this? Why would you do that? No. Yeah, there aren't that many states. It's just a matter of if you gave me a US map and told me to draw in the borders and put in the names, I would get it about, I would say 75% wrong. I would get probably more, 85% wrong, right? I would get that much wrong. If I gave an American a map of Australia and told them to put in the lines and also name them, they would not do well because most places forget that we have states. They just don't know it. People don't know that. No, an ACT isn't a state, it's a territory. Pardon. And I mean also then, you have to include Northern Territory as a state, but it's not a state, it's a territory. It's like DC. Well, it's not, but it's kind of DC. ACT is DC. Northern Territory is, I guess, like Puerto Rico. But more chill about it. Because, I mean, it's fun. Yeah, 5 hours is doable for a weekend. It takes me 5 hours to get from Melbourne, Victoria, to the border with New South Wales. It takes me 5 hours to cross one border. And that's the quick border. If I went the other way and tried to go into South Australia, it would take me 10 hours. Which is why you get as far as Warrnambool. Well, it's probably less than 10 hours, but it's a ways, right? So I could get to Maine. It's just a matter of going around everything. You don't go, you go around it. You don't go into any of the bullshit. You go around that shit. But it takes me 5 hours to get from Melbourne to Albury. So I'm just like, huh. Oh god. Yeah, you never want to say except to stay in shitty New Jersey hotels the 2 times you went to New York City. Nice. Scary is that America has 50 states and Australia only has 8, but Australia's landmass is slightly larger. We are big, but we're also not densely populated. We are a small country in terms of people population, because it's mostly desert in there. And part of that is our doing. We did part of that. You can almost do Canada. Oh god. If you're trying to get me to ask, to guess where the Canadian territories are, I'd be at a complete loss. I'm just like, nah, dude. I don't even know. I know, nah, I don't know where anything is. I know roughly where Nova Scotia is, but that's because I'm Scottish by descent, so I kind of have to know where Nova Scotia is. So that's about it, though. And I probably would put the border in the wrong spot anyway. And then I know Quebec is, in there. And I'm like, that's it. Yukon is, somewhere. I think Yukon is in that way, sorry. That way. In the west. Yukon is west, I think. Or it's north. British Columbia? Near Washington, I think. Couldn't tell you where the line goes. Oh. Hades died in Hades. Daddy died. Then you have Tasmania making it from one end to the other in under 5 hours. Yeah! I mean, part of the length of time getting from Melbourne to Albury is getting out of Melbourne. To be fair, it takes me an hour to get out of the city first, and then it's 4 hours to get to the border. So once you get out of the city, it's fine. And I'm from the burbs, right? But you still have to get out. Because, there are 2 ways you can get to the border from my place. You either go into the city and then out, because you want to take, the M1. Princess Freeway or something? Whatever. Take the M1. Or, you go into the hills, and then join the M1 at, Yay or something. And that's what we usually do. And it still takes us ages, because it takes longer to go into the hills, but you don't have to deal with the traffic. Because no one goes into the hills for a reason. No one is taking the mountain highway or whatever it's called. You just don't do it, You can drive from north to south in New Jersey in 90 minutes. California is tall. It is the tall state. That is California's thing. It is tall. Meanwhile, like, Victoria is long? Kind of. Like, in terms of states whose shape reminds me of Victoria, the closest to me is North Carolina, but bigger. Right? So Victoria is like North Carolina, but big. New South Wales is probably closer to like Pennsylvania, but big. Queensland looks like none of these, but I don't know, maybe is closest to like Idaho, but huge. Right? These are things that make sense. And then like Western Australia looks like none of these things. Western Australia is massive. Western Australia is huge. Big, big O. Exactly. You have to be crazy to go into the city to get in the M1. We've done it before. Like, you do it sometimes, because the M1 route is, like, getting the M1 in the city, like, from the city onwards. But technically, you take the eastern in, and then you go out. You don't really enter the city proper. Like, you don't end up in the Hoddle Street grid or anything. But, like, it's technically quicker, because you're on the M1 for longer, and the M1 has a higher speed limit than the Mountain Highway or whatever it's called. It's not Mountain Highway. It's something. It's like I'm gonna look it up, but I'm gonna have to do it in a separate tab because I don't want to dox myself. What is it called? What is that road called? It's some whoop road, and it has a slower speed limit, but there's no traffic. So like that's basically the bit is like, do you want traffic or not? And the answer is you don't want traffic. You don't take the M1. That's just it, right? Oh, it's the hold on. It's the M31, isn't it? Whatever. Same difference. Same bloody thing. I think. Yeah, okay. Where do I join? Where is my road? I think it's the B360. Which is, might be actually, oh, no, it's Maroondah. No, it wouldn't be Maroondah. That'd be weird. It's some road that no one takes, because why would you? Like, it's a road you do not take unless you are explicitly trying to get out of that. Like, if you're trying to avoid the, the stuff, you know? You're trying to avoid going into the city, so you take the whoop route. Yeah. No, I don't want to talk bus, train. Hume? No, that's nonsense. It's not the Hume. Actually, no, it is the Hume, isn't it? Is B30 the Hume? Is B300 the Hume? No. No, that wouldn't be the Hume. It's called B300. No, hold on. What? What are you called? That road is... Oh, it is Maroondah Highway. Okay, I take the Maroondah Highway up. You take Maroondah Highway and then you just keep going. It's fine. Because you don't want to go into the city, so you just go out. You take Maroondah up, you join into like Benalla, and then you keep going. That's just how it'd be, you know? Like, where's Yay, then? Where's Yay? Is Yay on the... Wait, oh, maybe I don't take Maroondah. No, I do take Maroondah, because it goes through Yay. Yeah! It's my boy. Oh, wait, what? No, wait, I don't have no... Listen, buddy, I ain't got no clue. Roads. I don't do navigation. I don't map. I language. Make the touring drive from hell. Try Interstate 95 from end to end. Through Boston, New York City, Philadelphia, Baltimore, and Washington, D.C. And that's just the first half. And then you get further south. No, you don't want to do that. We do actually have a road equivalent to that in Melbourne, in Australia. Technically. There is a... It's different. It has different names, but there is a loop that connects all of the state capitals and the territory capital. I think the exception is Canberra. I don't think it... Well, no, hold on. Does it connect Canberra? It might connect Canberra. I actually don't remember. It might. Yeah, no, it would. Yeah. I keep forgetting where Canberra is. But, like, there is a road you can take that will take you basically between all these. Except for Hobart, obviously. But then you get to Melbourne, and then you chuck your car on, like, the back of the Spirit of Tassie, and then you come down, you can do a lap of Tassie too. So you can basically lap the whole country. It takes you about 30 days, but it's doable. It's probably not 30 days, but it's takes you a while. It's not a quick trip. God, look at this mess. What is this? What is that? What do they put here? What is that? What is happening in there? Is that a lake? Oh, it is a lake. That's weird. I've never seen that drawn in on a map. That's weird. I have never seen anyone draw in lakes on a map of Australia. I've never seen it. That's weird, dude. They need to pick a different color for Northern Territory so it wasn't the same shade of teal. God, you know, silly stuff, right? You may note that the map of Abravost pre-smashing looks kind of similar. Because this is Australia 1. And then Thrausten is Australia 2. It's just 2 continents of Australia just chucked in there. I'm like, here you go. Elements of the local languages. Oh, but that flew. Was pervasive throughout the Vosti. Vosti. Need to link the Vosti. The Vosti I can spell, please. There we go. The Vosti. Settlers, perhaps. And many forced their new neighbors to speak in Vostan so as to communicate. The introduction of Vostan marked the beginning of tenure whose decline as a commonly spoken language, though it persisted with some strength in rural and island communities, because the Vosti cannot sail for shit. This is a fact that just it is like that. They don't speak nothing. The Vosti cannot sail for shit, which is why this island is where all the stuff is. Because they can't sail for shit, even though it's fairly shallow. They just hate it. Oh god, this map looks awful. Oh god, that map is old. It's nearly 2 years old. Ooh. You're off to sleep. Enjoy zombie language. Good night, day. Enjoy sleep. Sleep good. Nap good. Sleep good. I had to get up at like 8:30 again tomorrow, and it just keeps happening. And then I ended up passing out at some point. It's like, well, what did you expect? It's like, I lived in Werribee. Hey. When you went to Warnbury, you take the M8 to Sunbury and then down towards Airport, get the M31 from there. Yeah, exactly, right? Like, you just don't want to go into the city to get anywhere, even if it takes longer, because you have to go along a bunch of, like, back street, basically, that, like, they're not very well maintained or anything. It's just way easier, because, like, nobody wants it. Like, I've done it before, but it's not good, so you don't do it. You take a bunch of, like, mountain stuff. I go to the hills, because I'm from the east, so I have to take the hill route. But you just don't go in. You just don't do it. Which is why you end up coming back in, like, I think it was Benalla. Last time we went through Benalla. And Yay. Because we stopped in Yay, but we also stopped in, I think, Benalla. Because we looked at a bunch of, like, Ned Kelly shit. Now, like, to be fair, I don't know the route very well because I usually don't pay attention. Because I'm not the driver, I'm the passenger, and I'm just usually reading a book the whole time. I'm usually very, very bored. But this time I remember that we stopped in Yay, I caught a Pokemon in Yay, on Pokemon Go, and then we stopped in Benalla as well, for shits and giggles. That was fun. I think I have pictures of Benalla, but I don't remember. I think it was Benalla. I'm just going to assume it was. And then we rejoined the M31 and went up. And that was the way. And then you get to Aubrey and it's like, okay, we're cool now. Because Aubrey's fine. You know, it's fine. It's a city that exists. What did I do last time I was there? It was my uncle's 60th. We went up for my uncle's 60th, and that's the last thing I was in Aubrey for. And so that was a fun time. The time before that, it was a wedding anniversary. I just keep getting dragged into Aubrey, and I'm just like, why do I have to keep doing this? Because again, it's like 5 hours. You can do it in 4, but you don't want to. Especially because our driver has a heart condition, so you definitely don't want to make him do it in 4 hours. You have to stop. Hence why we were in Yay, because we were having, like, lunch. And then we stopped in Benalla because we were bored, and because we wanted to walk and stretch our legs. Only time you ever went into Melbourne while in Werribee was when you went to sail. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Like, I try to avoid going into the city if I can help it, but you really can't, right? Like, because, like, obviously, like, I have family in Aubrey, so you can avoid Melbourne and go around it to get up there. I mean, ignoring the fact that I live in Melbourne, obviously. But, like, I can avoid the city. But the rest of my family lives in the western suburbs. There is no way to get from the eastern suburbs to the western suburbs without going near the city. And so you take the Eastern Freeway. And that usually works. It's not always good, because the Eastern Freeway has problems. But, you know, it works. Or I guess it's Eastlink, isn't it? Same difference. It usually functions. Only because you took the train. Yeah, that too. If you want to get anywhere, you gotta go in. Like, I have this problem that, like, I have a friend who, like, Day, who just left, who lives in Pakenham, and there is no good way to get down to Pakenham, even though it is, like, a 30-minute drive south. And so if I took the train, it's a train into the city and then back out. And it's like, this is nonsense. But that is one of the quicker ways to do it. And it's like, what the hell? Public transport's a nightmare. I don't want to go into the city then to come back out. Especially because it'd probably involve me going to Southern Cross. And I don't hate Southern Cross. It's not my least favourite station, but it's not Flinders Street. So, I'm gonna be biased. So, you know, it just happens. I have many opinions about Melbourne stations. The only one I have no opinion on is one I don't care about. I don't remember which one it is. There's one I haven't been to, but I've been to all the other city loops, and I hate most of them. Flinders is the only good one. Southern Cross is fine, if a little bit confusing. Melbourne Central sucks. Parliament is bad. And then there's another one that I don't remember. I'm pretty sure. And I'm gonna just assume it's not good. But I don't know that. Is there another one? Oh god, I'm gonna have to look up City Loop. Hold on, I'm thinking about trains now. I'm ignoring language, thinking about trains. Spencer Street? Oh, Flagstaff. I'm thinking of Flagstaff. I think. I have never been to Flagstaff. Never been to Flagstaff. And I used to... no, I've never liked Melbourne Central. Southern Cross is not bad. I did like it. I was just very confused because I went to Southern Cross to meet up with a friend, and they told me to meet them, like, at the Woolies or something. There were 2 of them. Like, there was something that there were 2 of. Inside the station, there were 2 of the same shop, and so I was at the wrong one. For, like, 10 minutes. And that was a nightmare. Because I was at the right one, and then they said, meet me at the X, and I was like, okay, and I went back up to the X I'd seen before, and then it was the wrong one. And I was like, are you serious? So that was a nightmare. Other than that, it was nice. But of course, like, the fact that it has V-Line trains in it makes things confusing for me. So because Flinders Street doesn't have any V-Line trains in it, easier for me to navigate. And then I just hate Melbourne Central. I just don't like it. And then Parliament is okay, except I get vertigo a little bit. That's it, though. Like, it basically goes, like, Flinders and Southern Cross are both, like, equally decent, and then it goes Parliament, and then it goes Melbourne Central is all the way down the bottom. And then Flagstaff's in the middle, I guess. I've never been there. Flagstaff's probably okay. It's probably a decent thing, you know? Because of the DFO. Maybe, probably, right? Like, because, like, I remember the reason I hated Melbourne Central, because I had to go in there for a school thing. It was the closest station to the thing we were doing. Because normally I go into Flinders and then walk, but it was raining and it was 10 in the morning. So I went to Southern Cross and then walked. And the thing I went to Melbourne Central and then walked. And the reason I hated it was because I didn't get lost, but as I was following the literal signposts on literal, like, posts with literal signs on them telling me which exit to go to, I was standing there like, if I wasn't hopped up on anxiety and didn't have my phone out with a GPS on it, I would get so lost in this shopping center that's pretending to be a train station. And also I had to walk through a food court to get out, and I didn't like that because I was like super nauseous already, and food smell does not help. So it was not a pleasant time at Melbourne Central, that one. Luckily, on the way home, I went back to Flinders Street because we'd walked around, and I was like, thank God. And then Parliament's just annoying because it's tall. Because they have to take it real deep for that one for some reason, and it's not good. And then Flagstaff, I have no opinions. So I'm just like, I don't even know. Flinders Street is good because it's closely located to the things that I actually care about. Like the EB games and the NGV. That's the station to go to. So that's why I like it most. And then in terms of Eastern stations, none of them are good. The best Eastern station is probably Belgrave. Oh, so no, sorry, Box Hill, no. Bayswater. I like Bayswater Station. It's very nice, very fancy, but also only has 2 platforms because it's Belgrave line. So it's good. And then I don't like Ringwood Station. I hate Baronia Station because it's just ugly as sin. And then, that's really it, actually. Those are the 3. Box Hill's fine. Those are the only stations I know anything about. Like, Ringwood's okay, but I got lost somehow. Even though there was only, like, 4 stations, so 4 platforms, I still got lost. And I was like, how did I do that? How did I manage to get lost in a 4-platform station? And it's because you can't see the sign when you walk in. It just does, you can't see it. When I first time learned Melbourne, I was meant to go into Southern Cross to get onto the city loop for Flinders, but I got off at Southern Cross and walked to Flinders. Yeah, just walk. They're closely enough, but, like, if you can, you can basically just walk it. And I probably usually would, depending on what I was doing in the city at the time. Like, usually I go to Flinders and then go from there. I don't like to go any further. Because, like, the one time I had to go to Melbourne Central for a school thing, I was on the train, and the train had said that it was going to go via the city loop, right? And then it got to Flinders, and then just stopped being a Belgrave line train and became like some other piece of shit because I don't know, a train had run late, and I was like, what? And so I had to get off the Belgrave line train at Flinders and then get on like the Albany train. And I'm like, why am I on the Albany line? Or whatever it's called. I was just like, what am I doing? Because it was the next train going to Melbourne Central, and I was like, this is dog shit. That was a rough morning. Bad morning. 2019. Rough year. Rough year for it. Luckily, because I'm an art student, it's usually going to the NGV, so I usually don't have to worry about it. And I was like, oh, thank God. Anyway, languages, rather than trains. I do love trains, but boy oh, boy oh. Boy oh, boy oh. Communities. The death blow for the... I had to buy the aquarium. The aquarium is nice. I do like the aquarium. Oh, but I haven't been in years, though. Oh, I should go back to the aquarium at some point. I should just go into the city at some point. Just for its own sake. Because some stuff in there is nice. It is very loud, though. Cool. actually have been to Flagstaff. That or I've been to Southern Cross before it was good. Because they did up Southern Cross at some point. I think I have been to Flagstaff, but it was to drop somebody off. This is like 2005. My god, what a time. Oh, for the Skarhan languages came in the wake of the Civil War. No, it's Succession. Succession. The War of Frosty Succession, which had consumed the Empire for a decade? Or like a century? How long? How long are we talking? Almost a century. But probably closer to like 70 years. My sister rang me and said, "Where are you?" I told her I got off at Southern Cross and said, and before I even said aquarium, she knew me too well and said, "You're at the aquarium, right?" Hell yeah! That's the good stuff. You love when that happens. Yeah, for the last for some 70 years. During these squabbles, many communities in the West had begun trying to claim independence from the Empire and reassert their local culture. Once the war ended, Skila the First swiftly turned her eye back to her eyes to the region and began and wrote to crush all such revolts and eliminate Skarhan culture. This might actually be incorrect. I need to check. What did she say? I've written about her. What did I say about her? I don't remember. Because she was raised in the West, which is weirdly enough. So she yeeted out of there. Yeah, Imperial claim. Her daughter fled without a peerage. The state of Western Aberfrost, which had been largely ignored by her predecessors, as it left the area rife with independence movies, it would separate from the Empire, which would not do. And she crushed many rebellions. But also, language. Just bang it. Just get rid of that shit. Don't stop speaking another language. It's not allowed. Then just kaboom. Separatist sentiment. To this end, she implemented vast education reforms to enforce the teaching of Vostan to the exclusion of Tengirhu. Yeah. Something like that. Something of that measure. Goes bang. The last known native speaker of Tengirhu. Actually, no. Well, the final speaker native. The final native speaker of Tengirhu is not known. One of the last was a... Ooh, what would they have been? What would they have been to be known to history as an individual? Because usually they're like historians and shit. Was a nobleman's servant by the name of, let's say the name of, and that's a great question. I don't know any words in this goddamn language. It has no words. What are you talking about, buddy? There is the given name Tahla, which is used a lot. And there's also Rien, which is actually Rich-en. One thing I should marry my sister was somehow I got lost going from Southern Cross to the convention center for PAX Oz. Oh no. Aren't they like right next to each other? Aren't they like really close? Oh no. Oh no. We're getting lost. Oops. Yeah, aren't they like right next to each other? I'll admit, I haven't actually been to the convention center. Oh yeah, like, it is right there, isn't it? Oops. Yeah, no, I see what you mean. Yep. Oopsie daisies. Right, that Splinter's up there. Yeah, they aren't far. Oopsie daisies. Oops. That's why I have my phone just there. I'm just like, GPS. If I'm in the city, I have it up. I do not trust myself enough to navigate. Like, I don't know where I'm going at any given moment. There was a bit where, like, in year 12, we did, like, a treasure hunt in the city, which was kind of fun, except that I was, like, so anxious that day that it was a nightmare. But there was a bit where it was like, hey, go to the NGV. And I was like, I know where that is. I took them to the goddamn Ian Potter Center. Because it technically is the NGV, but it was the wrong NGV. And I was like, damn it. Shit. Because I'd never actually been to the proper gallery. I'd only ever been to the little one. Because I went there for a VisComp thing or something. And I was like, damn it. Shit. That was a rough time. I don't know where I'm going. I know where the EB is. Kind of. I know how to get there. That's the important part. I know how to get back there. You're in a French, you saw a store you want to check out on a side street and then got lost trying to get back to the main street. Yep. Yep, that sounds about right. It happens. It's just a grid. It's just, there are roads everywhere. Navigating is not easy. There was one time where, like, what did I do? I think I went to Flinders Street and then walked to South Melbourne, which was not a good idea, but I did that, and it was a long walk, and I do not recommend it, because it ended up being basically worthless as a trip, but I did it, and I was like, well, here I am in South Melbourne. Great. I'm pretty sure I could actually know exactly where it is too. Yeah, South Melbourne. And I walked to it from Flinders because we didn't want to go to Southern Cross for some reason. Do I remember why we refused to go to Southern Cross? No, I don't know. I don't know what the deal was with that. But we walked from Flinders. And it was like, that was neat. That was a good day. It looks way shorter from a map, actually. It doesn't look that long. But it was very tedious. It was not an enjoyable walk. Because it took like an hour. Somehow. In my defense, I was like, what, 17 doing that? Maybe 18? I'm not tall. I'm fairly short. Walking is long. And of course, you have to cross the West Gate. So no one wants to cross the West Gate. And I think we did get lost at some point, because it's like because it was on a side street as well. We had to then turn off somewhere, and I think we got a little bit lost trying to find it. So that was fun. That was a fun trip. You just don't do it. You just stay on the main road and you don't go anywhere. Yeah, once you remember it's a grid, it's like, oh yeah. It's really easy to get from A to Z if you know where you're going, and if you remember that it's a grid. You'll eventually end up back where you started. Every time I end up back at the library, I always get so confused, because I keep forgetting you can just walk around and get back to it. It just kind of appears out of nowhere. Like, when I'm most lost, the library appears, and I'm like, huh? When I get here again? Huh? It's always the library. Always state library. And I haven't even been there that many times, so I'm just like, how did I get here again? It's so confusing. I even say it by the name of. There's Rien, there's Tahla. I'm supposed to Rihen. Tahla, and those are the only given names that I actually know. Like, at all. Why do so many of these end in A? That's weird. Technically, it's actually just Rich, isn't it? Yeah. Just do that again, and then check a surname on her. Like a surname on him. Any of these people good surname for this? I don't. Oh, I don't even know what order they would put that in, would they? Ooh, shit. Because language hour, so would it be daughter of or something's daughter? I don't know how shit gets ordered. I'm trying to think of how the hell they would construct a surname with this language, and I don't know how anything works. Because it is structured as language hour. So what, that's like... I have no idea what that means. No. Never be sorry for distracting me, because I will distract myself. I brought this on myself at some point. That's just how it is. I accept that I am very easy to distract. My brain is just going, woo. It will find something and it will go. And I mean, to be fair, I have written like 400 words or something. Maybe less than that, but it's a fair amount of words. And now I'm just stuck on a name, because I don't know what a surname is, so I'm just going to put surname. I'll do a surname after the string. There is one of the last with a someone by the name of Rika, who was punished for speaking a language in the presence of their employer. So they're literally just a servant who was noted for this one thing of just speaking the language in the presence of their employer. The languages died sometime in the... So we did do the math. We did the math on this one, and then I forgot the math. In the early 200s BC. With very few texts or transcriptions left to access. Accessible to these people. 85% of my latest story is because I got distracted from working on my nano novel. That is a mood. That's a mood. That is completely fair. Get distracted and things just happen. Like, the fact I haven't gotten that distracted from this setting is honestly wild. But it's probably just because I have so many different parts of it that I can basically go, I'm distracted from this part somewhere else. Which is good. I'm basically just stuck in here. This is a good thing, because I enjoy it. This was the state of the languages for hundreds of years. Change on... I'd say went extinct, actually. For hundreds of years. Up until the later 300s. Tooltip after collision. AC. Hi, my little scratch notes. Welcome. You're coming in kind of the tail end of the stream. Basically, what I've been working on is a little world building article about a language. I'm not very good at conlanging, even though I pretend to be. And then I'll admit I've mostly spent talking about like Melbourne, because of course I have. This just happens a lot. Language for hundreds of years up until the later 300s AC. Yeah, conlanging! Woo! I have some conlanging, it's just the fact that I'm really bad at grammar means I never have an actual conlang. But I do love it in theory, like, you know? Conlanging is very cool. If I sat down and actually tried, I reckon I could have something, but most of what I end up with is a phonology and then a lot of vocabulary, which I mostly use for naming things. So I'm one of those naming language conlangers. Unfortunately. It's one of those, like, lesser versions of conlanging. Because I can't write a sentence in my language, but I can name shit. I can name a whole bunch of places, and I can name some people, I guess. And that's all I use it for. Just to give it some flavor, really. I do have plans to do an actual, like, an actual conlang at some point, but that is gonna keep getting help. I might do it, like, in March or something. Maybe I'll do conlang in March, who knows. And thank you for the follow. I have a conlang, I just don't plan a pronunciation table / inventory at all, and skip the step until you're done with writing the words. Ah, okay. That makes sense. To an extent. I usually always get told to, like, whenever I look it up, they're like, figure out what sounds are in your language first. And then they say do grammar, and I always skip the grammar step and go straight to vocab. Because I just want to be able to name stuff. Remember just when your birthday is. Nice! I mean, I'm just thinking, like, because I've been putting off doing the conlang for ages. Because the way it works in the setting for which the languages are for, I basically wanted to have languages for each major cultural group. And I do kind of have those. They're all naming languages, but they exist. They're okay. And then there's one group who does not have a language, and I kind of want to just give them the proper stuff and give them like grammar and everything and have it be functional and like you can write a sentence with it and everything. And I've been meaning to do that for at least a year, and it hasn't happened. So I figure at some point I need to just like go, that's it, it's time to go, and just do like a bunch of conlanging streams where I do a bunch of reading Wikipedia about grammar and figure out how grammar works so that I can actually write stuff. At some point it will happen. Maybe, we'll see. Usually I just end up drawing or writing about like royals instead. Oopsie daisies. I'm until the later 300s AC. You're also working on your own dialect of Spanish for a setting of a fandom that you're a part of. Ooh, a Spanish dialect. That sounds pretty cool. Like playing around with real languages and like making different versions of it. That sounds pretty rad, actually. Like that's just cool. I don't even have any idea what the fandom would be for that though, because I don't speak Spanish. So I'm just like, I don't even know what would involve Spanish. Oopsie daisies. Ah, the brony fandom. Ah. Spanish? Spanish for bronies? Ah. No, I do know what a brony is. I've been around. I've been on the internet. I've seen I've seen parts of the show. I was around. It's been a while. Stated languages printed to use. Ah, okay, for the setting of the TV show. Right, gotcha. Oh, French is canon in the show, so you're like thinking of a version of Spanish that could be like in the world as well. Oh, that's cool. That sounds pretty rad. It's like a fun little experiment. BC. After much work had been put into the revitalization of the Yelemtan language, since Apple Bloom, a character from the show, started speaking French. Out of nowhere, I mean. Oh no. You gotta love when that happens. It's like, hey, language. The world building implications. It happens. The revitalization of the Yelemtan language. Some Skarhan scholars turned their attention to the remnants of Tengirhu, in particular. Kion Uloedan spent many years cataloging all known Skarhan or Tengirhu words and writings which existed in Skarhu, such as in place and proper names. He and his team put great effort into figuring out the meanings of what words they had based on folk etymologies and contemporaneous sources, and reading and the decipherment of Tengirhu glyphs. A breakthrough in this research was the discovery of the so-called, they have a name, probably, maybe, I don't know. Did I name them? No. So-called Krelt papers. A collection of books and other artifacts found in a ruined town on the island of Krelt. This added not only hundreds of glyphs to the known inventory, but also a rare few bilingual texts containing texts, which have allowed the barest of the has allowed some rare symbols to be tentatively decoded. As of 45 AC, progress has been slow but diligent. Boom. That's basically the history of that language as a dead language. We love to say it. And then obviously what would come later is the description of the language, which I don't remember how I usually format that. Because I've written about written languages before, Dialects, phonology. Oh. Did I write any of them better than this? I'm pretty sure there's one that I wrote that was written better than this. I do not remember. Dashboard. Just so I can get the header out. Because it is now 1 in the morning, so I probably... Well, I said probably. I will soon be... I'll be wrapping up in like a minute or two. And I'm just trying to identify what the header is that I usually use. Jeez. Oh god, there's so many pubs in there. Languages. Is it Garanya that was more better formatted? Oh no, it's just this phonology still. Ooh, and fights I haven't actually... Oh, I have written about fights though. Oh, I didn't realize that. That's also just phonology. Doof. Doof. Oof. Yelempton? Changes. Changes. No, yeah, I don't describe these things in a whole lot of detail. I might just put features down here, and then that would be where that would continue, where I talk about, you know, phonology, the writing system, some of the romanization, westernization, etc. Whee! And that's just how that is. Okay. So now it is 1 in the morning, my time, and I do have something I need to do at like 9. So now yeah, okay. So since it is a Saturday, and that means, you know, things just happen on Saturdays, or technically it's Sunday. Whatever. What we will be doing is we will be rating writer Greg. First of all, but before we do that, get ready. As usual, our raid call is get ready using flaming toast emotes. Let me just type in the raid command. There we go. Alright, so thank you all very much for coming. Hope you all had a lovely day and that you had a good time, whether you were world building, playing games, chilling, etc. It happens. Like, I hope you had a nice time and that you continue to have a lovely day no matter what it is that you are doing with it. I might see some of you tomorrow for a gaming stream, or on Tuesday for more world building. Couldn't tell you what will happen on either of those streams, but we'll find out soon enough, I suppose. And yeah, hopefully I shall see many of you around in the future. Have a lovely day. Goodbye. Bye. Blank.